Hello, everyone, and welcome. I hope everyone had a great holiday weekend. Our webinar, The Modern Enterprise, is an introduction to Microsoft's collaboration tools. These tools are Teams, Office, and SharePoint. Communication tools are now a must-have for businesses in our current business climate. As more businesses move from having on-site employees to a remote workforce, communication and collaboration has become the key issue for creating an agile workforce. Today's goal for our webinar is to show you how Microsoft gives you the tools you need to increase collaboration and reduce complexity within your business. Next. Today's presenter is Tayeb Ali. He is a Vice President of Consulting at AlphaBOLD. He has over 15 years of experience as a software technology consultant, specializing in business management and digital transformations. My name is Judd Halenza. I am a client engagement manager at AlphaBOLD with over 10 years experience working with clients to align them with the best technologies for their unique business needs. Next slide. Today's webinar will cover the challenges of working and collaborating remotely. Tayeb will discuss and demonstrate 3 technologies from Microsoft that were developed to overcome the issues of that remote workforce experience. He will also discuss process automation utilizing Microsoft Power Automate. Tayeb?
Thank you so much, Jed, for the introduction. And hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. So I'm going to start with this first slide just to set the stage. So right now, we are living in an era where more and more people are working remotely. While that is not the only important thing as to why you need to have effective collaboration and communication, but it is certainly one of the important things that is making it even more important for organizations to embrace these concepts. Based on the first stat that you see there, 60% of SMBs worldwide will have mobile workforce. This number is a lot higher for the United States. And considering the fact that this study was done prior to COVID-19, you can imagine that this is absolutely a no-brainer now. All the IT departments need to be ready and they need to be able to serve their remote employees. This is especially led now by the companies like Facebook and Google, who are even considering shutting down their headquarters or their offices and just going to a completely remote model, which is going to be followed by other organizations as well. One other stat, just from the US standpoint, only 14% of the organizations prior to COVID were against remote work in the United States, which means that more than around 85 to around 86%, they were open to that, and they had remote employees who were not regularly working for remote, but had 1 or 2 instances in a week where they would do some remote work. So it is important for organizations to now consider and think about how these remote workers can be productive at their jobs. And obviously, it comes down to the tools that they will be using to work effectively. And the last stat I have there is 63% of the organization are considering diverse teams, which means that they will not always onboard a new employee because they want to get something done, which means that they would be open to hiring people in different geographical locations, which again poses the question of how effective and productive those remote employees would be if they're onboarded as part of the team. So with that in mind, let's move into the next slide, which focuses on or adds on to this remote work trend. So the question that we need to pose ourselves today is, do we have the right infrastructure in place to allow for these remote employees to be productive? And the biggest challenge with that is not that they are not going to be productive, because what is happening right now is that these remote employees are just finding tools of their choices to be able to collaborate effectively with the employees who are in different geographical locations. And that poses additional threats from the IT standpoint, from the governance standpoint, from the security standpoint. So the first point I want to cover there is disjointed collaboration. So what happens is if your organization is not trained and ready for remote workers, is that most of the people, they are going to resort to sending out emails because they just feel if somebody they cannot see, they are either not working or they are not available, and they just send them an email. And then there's this back and forth email thread that instantiates based on that. And then you have attachments that are linked to that. Those attachments then being saved on the desktops. And it leads to a bunch of challenges in terms of inefficiencies that could actually result into delays in your release deadlines. Your ideas and your content created can be delayed because of that. The second piece that I want to cover here is the third party apps and the security threat created because of those. So one thing that we are seeing is that these remote workers, they would just download the app that allows them to be productive and start working. That poses challenges because some of these apps, they do not align with the fabric that you have laid for the organization from the security standpoint. But over and above, it poses challenges from unsecured chat and the data that could be confidential being leaked and available on these third-party apps and being stored in siloed systems which are not integrated as one cloud fabric. That leads to our third challenge, which is dispersed resources. So you can imagine that all the SMBs obviously have minimal staff in their IT department, especially with cloud and most of the services being available on the cloud. But even bigger organizations, it's absolutely impossible for their IT to be able to support all these disparate applications if we are not putting together a vision and rolling it out as to how we are going to provide the tools that are going to make these remote employees effective, productive, and make it easy for them to collaborate. So that would then pose challenges in terms of IT onboarding, because every time they onboard someone, if they are onboarding onto multiple apps, then they have to learn those apps. And you might have run into issues where you, as an IT person or as an end user, send out an email to your IT team and talk about a tool that they absolutely not know about. And you have an issue now, and you have a meeting, say, in a few minutes, and you don't know how to resolve it. So there's no one to support you. And all these problems are posed by the fact that IT has not taken the initiative to be at the forefront of understanding this change in the mindset and provide the tools that are necessary for your teams to be effective. And last but not least is, on top of all of these applications, every employee, remote or working from office, they have multiple devices. They're using their phones to work and collaborate. They're using their laptops. They're using their desktop machines. And then those devices could be uh, Windows devices. They could be Apple devices. And they could have Android phones as well. So IT has to be able to support all of that. And that is going to be even more important as this trend continues, which is the ability to be able to have a solution that is going to cater for the mobile workforce. So with these challenges in mind, I want to share one more stat with you, which is 72% of the workers, they believe that outdated technology harms their productivity. Now, if they're spending time on non-optimal tasks, which is fixing issues with their applications or software, you can imagine that that's a huge loss for an organization. And this effect is compounded when you're talking about remote workers. So what is the vision? The vision is the ability for IT to roll out systems that would enable effective collaboration, that would enable the teams to be able to effectively discuss ideas, collaborate on those, and produce results without having to pose all the challenges that we discussed that are the underlying security and the compliance related issues. And one thing that we have seen with organizations such as Microsoft is they have tried to lead the effort on that, where they want the IT team to embrace some of the tools that they have rolled out so that they could lead that effort. It is for IT to inspire employees and give them a clear vision on how they can be effective working remotely. It is for these teams who are going to support and the organizations to foster creativity, allowing them to use tools that would allow them to make it easier to do their job, be more productive at their job, and then get stronger engagement from the teams and have better connectivity with the teams. So one of the tools that we are going to focus on today is Office 365. Office 365, as you already probably know, is more of a framework that engulfs lots of different applications. But the idea at the end of the day is that it allows you to support your mobile workforce. It allows you to not only manage and effectively engage your internal employees, but also your external customers. It allows you and your IT teams to be able to ensure that all the content as well as the activity is secure and is in line with the policies and the compliance requirements that your organization has. And most importantly, it allows for real-time teamwork and collaboration, which is absolutely critical for the success of your organization in this day and age. So we are going to talk about some of the applications within Office 365 today. As Judd mentioned, we're also going to talk about Microsoft Teams, and then we're going to talk about SharePoint as well. But within Office 365, I wanted to kick it off by their flagship product that has been there for a long time, and you have used probably, most of you must have used Outlook, which is probably the most used product for email exchange. And it is also a very effective tool that allows you to stay on top of your emails. Then we are going to go and cover co-authoring features. So what Microsoft has done over the course of, let's say, 6 or 7 years is that all the Office products, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, they're all available online, which lends itself to co-authoring of tools and effectively collaborating at the time the content is being prepared. Whether you are embracing Office 365 or not, whether you're using other Microsoft technologies and platforms or not, I'm pretty sure that you're using Excel, you're using Word. You have other options for those as well, but the feature set that is available, these being part of the Office suite from Microsoft, is way richer than what is available in other applications. We're going to cover that in context of Office 365. And then we're going to move towards some of the task management tools. Some of them are part of Outlook, for example, to-do tasks. But then there are other tools that Microsoft is rolling out, like shifts, that allow for remote workers in specific industries to be able to manage their shifts and log in their time. You can clock in directly from your mobile app. It can give you the geographical location of your team as well. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we are going to go into one of the applications that we use at AlphaBOLD extensively, which is Microsoft Planner. So we're going to show you how Planner also allows you to manage your tasks. And one thing I'll try to do is to show you some of the differences between all these different tools, because at times it's a little overwhelming when you see so many applications which are part of this Office 365 application suite as to which tool we would be using at what time for effective collaboration within our teams. So with that, I'm going to go into the demonstration of the Office 365, which is the first of the applications that I want to cover today. All right, so let me just here. So if you have an Office 365 subscription and you log into your Office 365 subscription, then the first thing that you would see is a bunch of apps that you have access to. Again, like I mentioned, this is handled through your IT. So you're going to get access to only the apps that you have licenses for, as well as you've been given access to be able to play with. But one, they can control all these, they can roll them out. Secondly, they can also make sure that they can train you effectively, because it's more of a thought out vision and process than remote employees just downloading the apps of their choice. In order to show you the effectiveness of collaboration, what I'm going to do for this webinar is I'm going to choose one of our teams, our internal teams for architecture, engineering, and construction. We have a product, it's called Bold Build, which is a product built on top of Dynamics 365 for effective collaboration. So I'm going to just show you how we internally collaborate with that team for that product Bold Build, because that would give you a flavor of how AlphaBOLD is using that. and would also give you some insights into how there's some new features that you can use. I'm sure a lot of you guys have already been using some of these products, but I can assure you that you will leave with something new today in terms of how you're using it and how there are probably gaps and opportunities for you to improve on the effectiveness of these tools. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with co-authoring and document creation. So I'll open up this Excel online. And as you see, as I open up this Excel online, it starts showing me some of the recent documents that we have been working on. So here you see that I have an Excel document, which is bold build features, which is the product that I was telling you about, which is part of our AEC team. Now I can go in here and within my browser, I can start editing this document. But the good thing is that you see here, it shows my name. So if somebody else is editing it as I am editing it, they see that, okay, Tayyib is editing this cell right now. And you can div this up into different sheets that different people are editing at the same time. They can effectively share it. They can put in comments. They can collaborate on working on this document effectively so that there is effective collaboration and communication and nobody is overwriting the changes from each other. Now, while we are doing this, just based on the way this is organized, everything is being stored at the back end in context of this AEC team. We'll talk a lot more about this team, so I won't go into the details of that because we'll discuss this as we get to Microsoft Teams. But I just wanted to quickly show you that as we're making these changes, they are centralized and stored in one place. So when I click on share and share this document, it's not that it creates a copy like it does when you send out an email and attach it as an attachment to that email. It sends out the link, so there's always one single source of truth for this information that your team is effectively collaborating on. I think this is very important to structure these tools the right way for your teams to be effective in collaborating internally. So with that, I'm going to go back to my Office 365. And like I shared, I'm going to talk to you more about Outlook. I'm pretty sure that a lot of you have been using Outlook for a long time. I won't bore you with the basic features of creating new email messages. But one thing that I do want to show you is that Outlook is becoming more of a tool that allows you to effectively integrate with other applications. So for example, as I go in here and I say send out an email, I can probably send an email out to one of our customers, James. As I click this button, because I'm sending this email in context of that AEC team, I have this bunch of integrations that I can click on Dynamics 365 and it allows me to track this email directly into my CRM system. So I can find James as a contact in my CRM system and I can effectively track it without having to open up that system. I can do other applications. For example, I can use poll and I can add in a poll directly from my web interface into my email and it can be embedded. And as I send this email out, my recipient will be able to respond to my poll. So these are some of the features that probably you are aware of. But what I want to focus more on the calendar and the to-do tasks within Outlook. So this is how my calendar looks. So you can see that it's pretty filled up. But you can go into create a new event and just by a single click, you can make it into a Teams meeting. Now, when this email invite is sent out, it will automatically have the Teams link for people to join as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use for this demonstration, Nick and Ryan, who are again part of my AEC team. One feature that I think is not used as much as I would like, at least internally at AlphaBOLD as well, is you can see here it automatically tells me about the availability. So it's telling me that at this time that I have set in this invitation, Ryan and Nick are available, but I'm not available. But one of the best features is it's also showing me the free slots. So for example, it's telling me that 1:30 to 2, everybody is available. So as I click on that, it shows me this green bar, which shows me the time slot that I have chosen. So this way, I don't need to have any back and forth with my team because all of that is available right in here. Now, one thing that might come to your mind is, okay, this is showing this to me for internal employees. But what happens if I add in an external employee as well? So for example, let's say if I go in and I type in my Gmail address, which is obviously external to our organization, then you can see that it has a question mark against my Gmail address. So obviously there's no way, because of security provisions for Office 365, to know about that. And that's where tools like Find Time come in. So what I can do is I can quickly create a poll and I can embed that within my email. And as I embed that within my email, so for example, let's say 3:30 p.m. is what I want to propose. I say add to my email. It is going to create this poll. It is going to embed that within my Outlook email. And if I send it out, so this outsider, Tayyib.ali at Gmail, can select any option that I have given them. And as soon as it happens, Find Time will automatically schedule that meeting for me. So these tools kind of just help you be more efficient and save your time to not have to go back and forth. One other thing in context of Outlook here, when you create a team in Microsoft, it creates a group at the back end. It is the same group that I showed you when I was showing you this bold build feature document. So for example, when I showed you this document, I said, let me click on this team. And I said, here you have effective collaboration and the documents and conversation and everything is being stored in here. Now the same concept applies to Outlook as well. I can go to my AEC calendar, which is the same team, and it is showing it to me in green color here. If I show you this, this is my calendar just for my AEC team. And as I open this up, I can go in and I can schedule invitations and send out invites in context of just this calendar, which means that whatever invitation I send out will automatically show up in this group as well. And I'll cover that as I get to Microsoft Teams in more detail. The last thing I want to show you is this to-do list that has improved in Outlook. So previously you had just simple tasks that you could have in Outlook, but now it has integration with a bunch of other applications that allow you to manage your daily activities. So you have the basic feature of your to-do tasks. You can go in here and you can create a new task. You can see I have here a follow-up on the webinar. You guys can see that I'll be reaching out to you tomorrow to ask as to whether you like what you saw. But in addition to this, you have some of the planned activities there. If I click on this task, you can see that this task has a lot of people involved and it says open in Planner. This is actually a Planner task, which I showed you as another tool that we use here internally. So if I click on this and show you my Planner, you will see that it instantaneously opens up my Planner task and it tells me which plan it is linked to. And now I'm within the Planner, which is the second application that I want to cover for us today. So within this planner as well, what I'll do is I'll try to stay in context of the team that we are talking about, which is our AEC team. So as I go in here, you can see that I see this board. It tells me that I have a task which is due today, which is to discuss bold build module, which is our AEC app. And this task is shared between me, Ryan, and Nick. And we can go in here and we can add in notes, we can add in comments, and we can start collaborating on it. I can start this task right now. I can move this from here to in progress. And the best thing I like is that I have charts that are available that tell me within the context of each plan, how many tasks we have, how many have been completed. It also gives me this scheduled calendar, which allows me to stay on top of these things. Now you might be thinking, I have a lot of planners here. So a lot of teams in our company are using Microsoft Planner. How do I stay on top of it? So on top here, you see, I see my tasks. When I click on this, it just shows me my tasks across all of these plans that I am part of. And the best feature again that I like is you can see I have charts here. So you can see here that I've completed almost 196 tasks. Yes, there are 6 tasks that I am behind on, but I'll be honest with you, they were just assigned to me yesterday, so it's not my fault. It is the marketing team that assigned these to me yesterday, so I'll try to get to these today. I have 4 tasks that are in progress, and I have 10 that have not been started. The feature again that I use the most to stay on top of these tasks is I go to the schedule, it shows me my calendar view, and as it loads, I'll be able to show you how I can see all the tasks that are grouped by days. So for example, today is July 8th, and I have 4 tasks. And like I said, I wasn't lying. He assigned me these 3 yesterday, so they're all showing up here, but you can see they were not there on 7th in my defense. Anyways, this is how you can effectively use the planner. And I've shown you 3 kind of applications. I've showed you Excel Online, I've shown you Outlook, and I've showed Planner. And I want to keep track of that because as we get to Microsoft Teams, I want to show you how all of this comes together as well. Even now, these are not disjointed applications because like I was showing you, I showed you the bold build feature, and I could show you the same document is lying in this AEC team group. And when I come to Planner, this is the planner for the same team, AEC team. So we're just still in context of our AEC team. Before I show you a few more features, there's one more app that I want to really talk about today, which is My Analytics app. So you can see here that you can, as an IT department or as an organization, enable your team to be productive and collaborative and roll out all these apps. But unless you are measuring as an organization how effective your team is in collaboration, you cannot make course corrections, or you cannot conduct effective trainings or know, okay, which applications are not being used. And this is extremely important for you to be able to track how you want to ensure that your remote workers could transition to the alternatives that you are providing them rather than using these one-off apps that they can download from app stores. And this app is, I think, very critical for that. So what it does is it kind of looks at my calendar and it tries to tell me about my habits. This is an individual view. You can also have an organizational view. It is a paid version for the organizational view, but we can discuss that. So you see here that I have most of my time is spent on collaboration with my team. So out of the time that is being spent on collaboration, it's 22% on emails. So I probably need to still lower it down. 10% on chats and calls, and 54% of my time is going into meetings. You can see in here that 60% of the time I'm not chatting or sending emails during the meeting. So I can assure you right now I'm focusing on this webinar. I'm not sending any emails or talking to anybody else. And it gives me a bunch of statistics about how I am collaborating here. And then in here, it shows me how my day looks like. So for example, you can see that as my day starts, I spend most of the time reading through my emails. And you can see I have lots of emails that come in every day. And I'm sending less emails than I'm reading, which means that I'm doing more work myself than I am delegating, something I can improve on. But then I want to show you here this network chart. So this tells me who are the people who are taking most of my time. So I need to make sure I reach out to them after this webinar and call them out on that. But you can see that I'm spending around 13 hours collaborating with this team. Then here I'm 6 hours with this team, and so on and so forth. I can see the same view for my customers, which can be good and bad, right? But obviously we are very proud of the customers we have. So I'm collaborating effectively here with Craig, Ray, and then I'm pretty sure David will be very happy to know that he's in this first year here. And then we have the second year and the third year and so on and so forth. And then we can also go into some of the important collaborations that I'm having. One of the other things that I'm really happy my wife doesn't have access to is employee well-being chart that you see on your screen. So it kind of measures for you your quiet days. And it is very important actually for your teams to be effective, especially as the trend for remote employees is increasing, for them to be able to track it as well as for the organizations to be able to track. You don't want your remote employees to be working 24/7 just because they're remote. So I think this is a tool that your organization can use. So for example, it tells you that I haven't had much of quiet days. The way it calculates it, if you're not doing emails after your work hours, 5 p.m., it considers it as a quiet time. And if you're not doing emails and collaborations during your weekends, it also includes those. You can see here, mostly I have had good July 4th weekend. You can see that right here. I took it easy. I didn't do anything on the Friday, which was off. But apart from that, my workday has been pretty busy. Now, what this tool also does, it allows you to kind of get at the forefront and makes you add in your focus time hours, where it blocks your time so other people could not book it. So for example, it can block your lunch hour, so nobody double books you at that time. It can block focus times within your calendar, so they are not booked by other people and you could effectively use that time. I just wanted to share this with you as well because I really love this new tool. And I think that as you embrace different tools from Office 365, and you roll them out, it's important for you to be able to measure the effectiveness of those tools for your organization to be successful. So this is very important from that standpoint. I'm not covering shifts that I talked about on purpose because I'm going to talk about that in context of the next tool we have here, which is Microsoft Teams. So I'm going to go back to my slide deck for a second here. And just know that at any given time, you can ask a question. There's a question section within the GoToWebinar that you can use for that. And we will stop to take your questions in the end. So when we come to Microsoft Teams, definitely my favorite product from Microsoft. And I know a lot of people compare Teams today with Zoom, and Zoom is an amazing tool as well. But again, the problem that Zoom poses is some of the issues that I had discussed from the security standpoint and how it incorporates into a ton of other applications that your organization is already using in terms of Office 365, your Office Online, which is Word, Excel, and all those documents. But what Teams allows you to do is to have effective meetings and calling. Calling is a new feature which we are already using internally at AlphaBOLD, so I'll talk about that. Obviously, it allows for effective chatting and collaboration. And then it has a bunch of these add-ons, apps that you can use. But again, they live in context of Teams and they comply to all the securities and privileges and licenses that you have configured across Teams. And then you have huge power of automation through workflows and Power Automate that we're going to talk about as well. So going in, you probably are already aware of the fact that mostly we are using Teams for effective internal and external meetings and participations. But it goes over and beyond that. You can have effective chats, you can do screen sharing. You can do screen sharing even through your mobile devices. Not many people are using that feature, but Teams does allow you to share your screen even on your iPhone. It allows now, especially with COVID, there's so many features that are being rolled out every day. It allows you to blur your backgrounds, put in a background image that you can have branded to your company's brand. It has, like I shared, audio dial-in feature set as well. And then it has a bunch of capability from the recording standpoint. And Teams allow you to do all these things in context of that team that you're collaborating with, and it tries to incorporate all the resultants of these discussions, be it a document, be it a recording, be it a video share, whatever that is, in one place. And some of these features that allow you to consolidate things in one place are not being used very effectively. So I'll cover those in the demonstration. But these recordings, they also have transcripts, so you can search for a specific discussion point and get to that within the recording as well. The recordings are right now stored in Stream if you have used that tool, and it doesn't lend itself for external sharing. So I would say it's one of the limitations. The way we overcome that is that we can share that through SharePoint by uploading that in SharePoint. The next thing is the calling plan. So like I shared with you, Teams has the voice feature, but it's not just voice. It is more like an exchange. So you have feature set where you can set up your call queues, you can configure your attendance, you can manage the traffic, you can set voice messages. We at AlphaBOLD here use that, and we have implemented that for some of our customers to replace some of the telephony systems that they were using prior to Microsoft Teams. And it's working really well. So I would definitely show this to you as well. And I would say if you haven't explored it, that's definitely a feature to look into. And obviously, one of the core features that most of you must be familiar with if you're using Team. If you're not, then you would learn that today is compelling communication. You can send out kudos, you can highlight achievements, you have stickers and a bunch of other stuff that you can use within Teams to make sure that your collaboration is effective and Teams becomes that go-to system for all that collaboration to happen. And one thing I want to highlight here is that the reason I like Teams a lot is the adoption of from the user standpoint. There are lots of features that end users have asked for. But one thing that Microsoft has done well is to keep a lid on that feature set. Because what happens is as you keep on adding those features, it just increases complexity at times. So they have done a good job making sure that there are only collaboration related features that are part of Teams, and anything else is available through apps. So if individual people want to do that, they can download those apps and add those to their teams. But that has helped in onboarding employees onto Teams. So with that, I'm going to take you into a demo. Let's see here. Move this across. So what I'll do is I will just show you Teams in context of my teams that I'm using here at AlphaBOLD. So you can see in here, I'm in context of my AEC team, the same team that I showed you when we started on our first artifact, which was that Excel. And you can see here, it's showing me in the activity section, my activities, so all the posts that I have been doing. If I click on, for example, a post in here, it shows me a video recording. And you can see in here that this video is automatically added. This is a video recording for a meeting that kind of took place on Teams. I didn't have to upload it here. And I'll show you how that can be done through Teams. And if I go into some of these other pieces, you will see that we have effective collaboration and communication going on different channels within the context of Teams. And people are sharing praises. They are celebrating if somebody is doing good stuff. And you can see we have a bunch of features in here from the chat standpoint that you can do on commenting. You have your stickers, you have these praise. It's a new, relatively newer feature. So you can just do a shout out to your employees and everybody in the team sees that. Again, this is linked to the chat piece. But the biggest piece, obviously, is how you can effectively create and manage your teams within Microsoft Teams. So the way it works is you kind of go in, and as you create a team, which is very, very easy to do, you just click on join or create a team. And just like that, you can add in, just show you, you can create a team from scratch or from an existing Office 365 group. I'm going to just show you this existing team that I have. And the first thing you end up doing is you manage your team members. So you can add in as many members as you want. So you can see this team has a lot of members. But one of the things is that you can have multiple channels within this team, and some of these channels can now be private. This is a feature that wasn't available before, and this is relatively a newer feature. But you can have your teams private, which means that not everybody that is part of the team has access to this channel. So you can see there's a lock against this channel. And I'll show you in a second the members of this channel. So if I go in here and show me manage channels, I can show you that it has only 2 members, which is Ryan and Nick, that I've been using for the sake of this webinar as well. If I go to manage teams, I also have settings in here. So everything you can control in here. You can go into the analytics piece, and it shows you how many active users versus how many inactive users, what kind of engagements we are having. So you can see that this team has come to life mostly for this webinar. But you can see the files that are being shared in context of this team here as well. And then, of course, like I shared before, you have all these apps that can be part of the Teams application. So you can see the praise thing I showed you on the chat was one of the apps that we use here. Now, if I go into one of my channels here, you can see that I have a bunch of these meetings that are showing up within the context of my team. I'll come to that in a second. I will show you how you can create a meeting invite and send it out and have it automatically created within the context of the team. This is a feature that is underused, I think, because what people end up doing is they go to Outlook, they send out an email invite, a meeting invite, but they don't put in the context of the team. So then they are ending to upload the recording of that team or all the other documents of the context of the meeting in here. It can be avoided if you are doing it the right way. It has this files piece, which again is the third piece that we will cover. These files are stored at the backend in SharePoint. But you have this nice view of getting to all the collaboration and the files that are shared in context of this channel. And then the planner that I showed you earlier on, you can see I can see that same planner. And if you remember, I made this task move from to do to in progress. I can see the same planner in context of my team as well. So again, like I was sharing with you, we are not looking at different tools, but it's not a disjointed set of applications. It's everything connected to one infrastructure and one collaboration fabric that would allow you to roll out these features and be effective at collaboration and communication. So here, what I want to do is I want to go back to the posts and I want to cover the calendaring feature within Teams. So what I want to do is I want to show you how I can schedule a meeting. So I'm going to go in and I'll talk about bold build feature discussion. And as I do that, I want to add my members. So I'm going to say, okay, I want Nick to be part of this, part of my team, and I want Ryan to be part of this as well. But you will see in here, I have this section to add channel. So I can go in and I can add my channel for my AEC team that I have. And just by doing that, what it does is automatically it also brings in this invite in context of my team. I'm also adding this external user to show you that if your company has this policy of allowing guests, you can also give guests access to your team as well as to the meetings that you're sharing. So with that, I'm going to just send it out. And as I do that, if I go back to my team here and open up the AEC channel, you can see this is the most recent one that I just created, which is bold build feature discussion. It is automatically showing it in the posts because I chose this channel as the channel in context of which I'm scheduling this Teams meeting. Again, this is very important because as I conduct this meeting and I store recording of the meeting, everything will be stored in context of this invite. Moving on to the next one, it is the calling feature. Obviously, it has been set up at the back end. Sorry about that. Let me show you the setup. So for example, this is the admin level setup. I can go to the voice section. I can see dial plans, queues, auto attendance. I can set up everything. But once it is set up from the end user standpoint, it's fairly easy. I can type in any number. So this is my personal number. I'm not doing any spam calls. I go in here, I click call, start. The phone is ringing. You cannot see after on a hand here, but you can obviously use this effective calling if you have a number. It's showing me my number right here that has been assigned to me. You do have to pay, get the Dialup Plans if you do that. What you can also do is if you don't want to pay for these Dialup Plans is that you can just use VoIP through Teams and you can still receive phone calls. But obviously, if you want to make phone calls using the number that has been assigned to you, then you need to get that plan. In files, you see all the files that have been shared across all the teams that I am part of. Obviously, it has a robust search feature, so you can search on any of these. But one thing that I missed or skipped on purpose as we were talking about Office 365 shift management is you can see here for our AEC team, we have a bunch of shifts which have been assigned to the team members that we have within these teams. So you see here I have a shift, so Nick can go in and using the Shifts app within the Microsoft team, Nick can just go in there and hit start clock. As the clock starts, I will know that the location that Nick is using, as well as I'll be able to see the time when he starts working on it. And if Nick wants to make a request about swapping him with another person, he can do that here. He can also say, I'm not available or I will be off. So you can kind of make all those requests right from the Teams. Teams has a lot more to offer, but obviously since we have just 1 hour, and I also want to share more features, I won't go into those, but I want to also share that there's this apps feature where you can see ton of apps that are available. So for example, there are third-party apps such as Zendesk and all those that are available within Teams, so you could be effective at your collaboration. With that, let me go back to my slide deck. And I'm going to go into the last piece that I want to cover from this webinar standpoint, which is SharePoint. So if you have used SharePoint in the past, SharePoint used to be at the forefront of collaboration. Now it has taken kind of this backseat, which makes a lot of sense for somebody like me who has been tracking SharePoint for a long time. When it all started, SharePoint was a document management tool. That's the core of SharePoint. Right? It had versioning and document sharing and could track history and changes and all that stuff. And then Microsoft kind of improved on that and added collaboration features because they realized that it's all about how you collaborate on those documents and in the context in which you're collaborating. And as Microsoft Teams came along, they kind of started making Teams as more of a front end of that collaboration. But SharePoint still stays as the back end for that document management piece. So what they have done is they have added new features to SharePoint. So you have now a new modern look to it where you can create multiple sites. And the other thing they have done is they have allowed you to add additional outside SharePoint, other applications that are available as part of Office 365. They made it easier to add those. You can still brand your SharePoint. So for example, for most of our customers, we do apply custom branding, at least on the home page, which I believe is very important, especially if you have remote employees, because it allows them to relate more to your company and create this culture of collaboration and association with the organization. But if you don't want to do that, then you still have this effective layer where you can have your sites kind of grouped as frequent sites and they can still access all of those. What they have also done is, like I was sharing, they've made it easy to embed different modules within your sites. So for example, I can embed a Power BI dashboard, a YouTube video, and so on and so forth within my site pages. And like everything else that I've showed you, SharePoint is also very effective in allowing you to do a bunch of things remotely using your mobile devices. Whatever I've showed you today, by the way, Outlook, Planner, Shifts, Team, as well as SharePoint, which I'm going to show you now, everything has its own app on your mobile devices that work effectively on those mobile devices. And I can tell you that Teams app, Planner app, they're really, really good. So you can effectively use them and collaborate using your mobile devices as well. So with that, let me show you a demonstration of SharePoint. Bring this back up here. And let me open up our internal SharePoint here. So if I go in here, you will see that our internal SharePoint at AlphaBOLD is branded, which means that we kind of have our own look and feel on top of the out-of-the-box SharePoint. So you can see that on the top, it talks about our core values, accountability, drive, trust, and bold belief, which is our give back. We have these latest news, latest announcements in here, upcoming updated documents, upcoming events, employee spotlight, and then we have the suggestion box. And now you must be thinking, so when am I using Teams and how is it collaborating with this? When am I using Planner? So the way we kind of segment this is we use Planner for collaboration with teams which are mostly non-technical and focus more on creative content, such as our marketing team, our sales team, our ops team, our HR team. For being a consulting firm, for projects and delivery, we use DevOps, and we have tasks created in there that we use for that. For collaboration within small teams, we use Microsoft Teams. But for collaboration across departments, where we have to store documents, we use this SharePoint. So for example, if marketing needs to create some collateral and share it with everyone, they will create a folder, they'll put it in our SharePoint, and then they will start sharing it from here. So for example, for this webinar, you will see that we'll have a folder for SharePoint webinar, where everything wasn't expected, where everything related to, just one second. This is my multi-factor authentication. I wanted to demonstrate it to you as well. I'm just joking. I don't know why it logged me out. But here you can see we have all these folders, and they would just create the appropriate folder, and they just put everything in here. So for example, for this webinar, they had the SharePoint webinar folder. So all the slide decks, all the emails that you receive, they're all grouped in here. But for collaboration internally, we have different practices. And then we would have a practice portal. So each practice has its own portal. And this is the one for SharePoint. So you can see that they are doing nominations for their employees. People are voting on those. They're getting the spotlight on our portal. Again, we have a suggestion box for people to put in the suggestions for making changes. Here, we also have client sites. So for example, what we do is for effective collaboration with our customers, we create a portal for each project that we are doing. And the way we built it is we have templatized all the deliverables that we have as per our bold route methodology. So for example, I want to send out a meeting minutes. I'll just come in here and click on meeting minutes, and it will open up a template for me, and I can just start typing in. So it just saves us a bunch of time from the perspective of just sharing this with our customers and being efficient at collaborating with our customers as well. So this is kind of what I wanted to share with you. Obviously, we have important links and blogs here. So our blogs go through an approval process, but I'll cover that in a bit in more detail. So I'm going to move out of this and go to the last section of our webinar, which is Power Automate. The reason I wanted to include Power Automate as part of the scope of this webinar is because, yes, effective collaboration and communication is very, very important, but it's also important to be able to automate some of these tasks. And Power Automate allows you to do that. For those of you who think it's something new, it's not. It's the same thing as Microsoft Flow. It used to be a Microsoft application for automating. What it allows you to do is to generate notifications, synchronize files between different systems. But most importantly, what Microsoft has done is they have pre-built flows that allow you to effectively integrate applications. Let me give you an example here. So in our portal, like I was sharing, we have blogs. Teams create blogs and they are posted. So as I go in here, I go into blog submission. And you can see that anybody who wants to submit a blog can create a blog entry here. But we have a flow running at the back end, and we can track all the history of all the teams that are involved using Flow. And just to give you a quick overview, this is the flow. So as soon as somebody creates a document, a flow instantiates. And then you can go into a flow and you can see we have different team members who kind of review that blog before it gets posted on our website. So it goes through those approval processes, and it can go back and forth between those approval processes. And once all of that is done, it kind of is qualified to be posted on our website. The flows are designed to be built by business analysts, so you don't necessarily need technical know-how for those. That's the other reason why there's huge adoption for these. So if you're not using these, it's something that you can use. It's a very effective way of ensuring some of the compliance and some of the processes that you want to put in place with some of these collaboration tools that I covered. So with that, I am going to see if, Judge, you have any questions for us.
I don't have any questions that came through on the chat, but I do have a question, Tayyab. We're really talking about tools that people, chances are, with an E3 license or greater, people have either most or all of these tools. Is that correct?
Yes, even without the E3, so most of the tools I showed you are available even with the essential license. So for example, Teams, collaboration, some of the back-end SharePoint, a lot of that is available just with the business essential license. So you don't even need the enterprise licenses. But yes, if you have E3, you have everything that I have covered today.
Great. Well, I think I'm just going to hop in here, Tayab, and just address everybody else. Hopefully, we've given you a really good understanding of the tools Microsoft has provided for virtual collaboration in the workplace. The real question is, do you have communication and/or collaboration issues? Are you curious to learn how you can use the tools we've shown you today to make your business a better communication and collaboration environment? Would you like to learn about some of the communication solutions we've created for other businesses? For example, Alpine, Edwards Life Sciences, and TaylorMade Golf. We'd like to follow up with you to help you identify your issues. We'd like to review your current communication processes and technologies and show you how you can improve your environment with a better application of, as we just talked about, stuff you probably already own. Again, you probably already own some or all of the tools we've talked about here today. From the discussions that we have with you, we can present you with a fit gap assessment with a plan for implementing or configuring those tools to create an effective business collaboration solution. We will be reaching out to you over the next couple of days to get feedback and discuss next steps. Tayab, next slide. And this is us. We're located in Carlsbad, California, but the beautiful thing about virtual workplaces is that we can work with you anywhere in the world. Currently, we do have clients actually in Thailand and Malaysia, just to give you an idea as to how this works. For more information, if you want to contact us directly, you can email us at infobold@alphabold.com. And our phone numbers are listed here, so you can reach out if you want to talk to someone directly via phone. Again, over the next couple of days, we will be sending out a copy of this webinar for you to review. Maybe you can take a look again and see what you might be interested in talking to us about. And then I will also be following up with you to see about possibly setting up a time for us to discuss your needs and to see if we can help you out. Tayab, anything to add?
No, thank you so much for joining in. I hope you learned something new. If you have already been using these applications, and if not, I hope you saw the value of having a connected collaboration infrastructure rather than having those disjointed systems. And please feel free to share your feedback. It helps us improve our process of generating this content and sharing the content with you. And we look forward to hearing from you more about the topics that you would be interested in so that we could cover those in our subsequent webinars. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Have a great day, everybody.